Cartoon Obsession. Hello everybody, my name is Nathan and I am the man with a cartoon obsession. Valentine's Day is coming up soon and love is in the air, as it were. I'm not a fan of Valentine's Day, but I figured since we're in that season, now would be a good time to talk about a romance series. And I haven't reviewed an anime series in a very long time, so I'm taking advantage of this opportunity to do so. I will warn you, the series I'm going to be talking about today is very strange, and there may be aspects of it that will make certain people uncomfortable. I'm also going to do my best to avoid spoilers, but I'll still throw in a spoiler warning just in case, because I have a lot of things to say about this show. Without any further ado, let's get into this look at and review of Domestic Girlfriend.
未熟無情されど
Domestic Girlfriend, also known as Domestic na Kanojo or Dome Kano, is an anime series based off the manga of the same name. The 12-episode series ran from January 12, 2019 to March 30th, 2019, and it was licensed and dubbed by Sentai Filmworks for Western audiences. The anime is about a love triangle. Pretty standard, right? Well, let me go into a little more detail. In the very first scene of the anime, we find out that Natsuo Fuji, the main character, has just had sex with a girl whose name is revealed to be Rui Tachibana. Later in the first episode, we find out that the two met at a mixer, and Rui asked to have sex with Natsuo just to see what it feels like, and Natsuo goes through with it because he wants to try to get over the crush he has on his teacher, Hina. After they do the dirty deed, they agree to never talk about it again, if they should even end up seeing each other again. Later on, Natsuo's father tells him that he's getting remarried to the woman he's been seeing, and their two families will be moving in together. Are you ready for this shocking development? Rui is the woman's daughter, and his teacher Hina is her older sister. So Natsuo ends up becoming step-siblings with both his crush and his one-night stand. And without giving too much away, this ends up turning into a weird and twisted love triangle. I'll get more into my thoughts and feelings on this a bit later, but I'll say this much. The premise certainly intrigued me enough to watch this anime not once, but twice, so I'll give it credit for that at the very least. Now let's get into the characters. Of course, there's our main protagonist, Natsuo Fuji. He's interested in his teacher and now older stepsister, and he had a one-night stand with a girl who ended up becoming his younger stepsister, and I should mention the parents know nothing about any of this. Needless to say, he goes through some internal struggles and he doesn't know how to deal with them, and that is painfully obvious sometimes. He also writes stories, by the way. His goal is to become an author, so that plays a part as well. Anyway, I like certain aspects of his character, such as his determination to become a writer, and while I understand that he can't control his feelings, he makes some questionable decisions throughout the series, but he's not the only one guilty of this. We then move on to Hina Tachibana, the teacher who is also Natsuo's love interest and older stepsister, and Rui's older biological sister. She also makes some questionable choices, and she tends to come off as condescending for a good chunk of the series. Like she's a mature adult and Natsuo, Rui, and whoever else are just kids and can't understand real problems. If you've seen this show, then you'll know what a crock that is. I don't dislike Hina as a character, but she doesn't exactly do a whole lot for me. Then there's Rui Tachibana, and you should get the idea on who's who by now, so I shouldn't need to go through the whole spiel again. Rui is a socially awkward girl who's very blunt in her delivery, and that can lead to some rather comedic moments, but it can also make her come off as a total bitch. I didn't like Rui at all at first, but as the series went on, I grew to like her quite a bit. She still has her flaws though. Much like the other two main characters, she makes questionable decisions and can't get a firm grasp on her feelings and how she should act. I will say though, she's my favorite character in the show. I'll also talk about some standout supporting characters real quick. First we have Momo Kashiwabara, who, like Rui, I ended up not liking at first because she came off as weird and she apparently gets around a lot if you catch my drift, but I turned around on her too. She ended up becoming a surprisingly good character, and I wish she got a little more focus in the series. Then we have Fumiya Kurimoto, Natsuo's childhood friend and the guy Natsuo always confides in. Fumi is a good shoulder for Natsuo to lean on. He always gives him good advice, and he shows how much he cares about Natsuo. The same can be said about Masaki Kobayashi, or Marie as he prefers to be called. He also ends up giving good advice, not just to Natsuo, but Rui as well. And since he's older, he has more life experience, so you really believe what he says. Plus, he's hilarious.
Lately, I feel like there's something off inside me.
Elaborate. Off as in you feel more comfortable as a boy?
I've been noticing some things about people that I never used to care about before.
The last one I'll talk about is Reiji Kiria, who is another teacher at the school. He's another case of a character I didn't really care for, but ended up warming up to after a while. I may not agree with all of his methods, but they are certainly shown to be effective. Alright, now let's get into the nitty-gritty. What do I like and dislike about this series? Well, I'll start with the positives. First, I love the intro. I know it has nothing to do with the actual show, but the theme song is awesome. The voice acting is solid in this show. Of course, I did primarily watch the dubbed version as that is my preferred method, but I also saw many clips of the subbed version to compare, and the voice acting in the sub version is good too. Plus, from what I can tell, not too much gets lost in translation, which is always good to see. Domestic Girlfriend is actually pretty funny. It might be unintentional at times, but regardless, I give it an A for comedy.
It's more like a game of conversational catch. Try this. I totes love you, Hasakawa, like work.
You mean that pretentious intellectual normie who pretends he's struggling with love?
Lesson 2, don't diss someone's taste while smiling. Are you even trying to get me to like you in our hypothetical conversation scene?
Sometimes the comedic moments come from out of nowhere, and they may seem out of place at times, but I kinda like that in this case. It helps break up some of the awkward tension. Like I said earlier, this show also has some strong characters. Granted, most of them are supporting characters, but regardless, this show has a decent cast. Some of the designs of these characters appeal to me as well, my personal favorite being Rui's design. And also, like I said earlier, I find the premise to be very interesting. I like the whole love triangle thing that they have going on, and the emotions on display from the three main characters feel real to me. They don't feel forced, they feel genuine, and there's some build to what ends up happening. The anime does have its fair share of tender romantic moments. However, therein lies the problem, and I'm sure you all knew what I was going to say. While I do think the story is both interesting and compelling, and while I do like the idea of it, I can't help but think that I would have liked the execution more if the love triangle didn't involve step-siblings. Now look, I get it. They're not related by blood, and incest is more socially accepted in Japanese culture. I get that, but at the same time, I can't help but think that this kind of thing is just wrong. They're still family. And the thing is, I think they could have done this type of story without having them become step-siblings. You can still have the love triangle, but just have it between the guy and the two sisters. The sisters having feelings for or relations with the same guy can still be an interesting story. Even the fact that one of them is the guy's teacher doesn't bother me as much as the fact that this is a love triangle involving step-siblings. Not only that, but all three of the main characters act like complete assholes sometimes. They end up hurting each other and themselves with some of the decisions they make in the series. There are a lot of hypocrites in this show. Most of them deny it, but at least there are a couple of showings of self-awareness.
Then Al, shouldn't you take your own advice and go talk to Rui yourself?
Hey man, I never said I was a role model.
I also don't know how I feel about the ending. The manga is still going on, so who knows, there may be a second season in the future. As it stands now though, Domestic Girlfriend is one wild ride of an anime. It does a lot right, but it does quite a bit wrong too. Do I like the show though? I don't know. I really have not come to terms with my feelings on this show. Like I said, the whole incest thing does feel wrong, but there's a weird part of me that kind of doesn't mind it. And I'm not saying it's a big part, but a small part of me doesn't mind it, and that part of me also kind of wants to see a certain pairing, even though ethically it's not right. But hey, what are you gonna do? A good story is a good story, and like I said, I do like the story in concept. In execution, I don't know. Hit or miss in some spots. I will say that I'm never bored watching this show. I always feel some kind of emotion, whether it's shock, compassion, or anger, and that last one comes up quite a bit. That being said, Domestic Girlfriend is, at the very least, engaging and entertaining. Overall, I give Domestic Girlfriend a 66 out of 100. It is a passable anime, whether we're just talking about it as a romance anime or as an anime overall. Would I recommend you watch it? Honestly, yes. The reason for that is you can really only form an opinion on this show if you watch it yourself. Plus, if you're into soap operas, this show might be right up your alley. And if you have seen Domestic Girlfriend, please let me know how you feel about it in the comments.
Oh my, it's true. Darling, your face looks extremely ugly and twisted right now.
Joke's on you, because it's always been ugly.
That's not true. Well, maybe.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any other cartoons, anime, or other animated works that you want me to talk about in the future, please let me know. After all, it's not my channel, it's our channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to check out my social media pages, audition for an outro, and join the official Cartoon Obsession Discord, the links for all of which are in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
Hi, I'm Hinata Hyuga from Naruto, and thank you for watching Cartoon Obsession.